Welcome to Love to See It, a podcast about stealth weddings and less than shocking splits.
Things have been truly busy in Bachelor Nation and Love is Blind land, from Zach and Katie's marriage hard launch to Lydia and Milton's rough-sounding divorce. So we just needed to hop on and discuss all the hot goss.
Here to walk us through the latest tea is friend of the pod, Zachary Reality. It's been a while. Hello, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. I'm so excited to get into the tea. I have hot takes, so I'm ready to spill it.
Oh my God, good. Yes, this is why we love you. This is why we love having you on, and you are on our time zone right now. So
yes, I'm in New
extra
York.
great for us. Yes.
It's so gray outside, and we need the sun. Like, I did not come here for the gray.
I know. I'm so sorry. It's gray all week until I think Thursday or Friday. The weather's going to start turning around. It's been
Can
rough.
you imagine coming to New York and the weather isn't beautiful? What kind of scam is this?
I don't know. I left sunny California, and this is just like madness.
It's offensive. It's offensive. I'm so sorry. We're not bringing our best for you.
It's June. It's literally Pride Month. Like, this is so insulting.
This is a hate crime, I think, this weather.
Exactly.
If you stick around long enough, it will suddenly be 100 degrees. So
okay, I might stay till
gonna
the
be a roller
4th.
coaster.
That's like next week.
Maybe I'll see the sunshine.
So a little housekeeping before we get into all of the news and gossip. Our next Love Island USA episode will be out on Thursday, and oh my God, I cannot wait to discuss this week's batch of episodes. Like I can barely keep my feelings in, but I'm going to restrain. If you missed last week's Love Island check-in, we're doing them once a week. Go back and check that out. Listen to it before the next recap comes out on Thursday. And also over on Rich Text, we recently dipped back into the Valley to talk about mostly Jax. So you can find those episodes at claireandemma.substack.com.
yeah, so let's dive in. And before we start on some of our topics that we teased before, we wanted to check in with you, Zachary, because you are always on top of the latest tea. Has there been any new, especially Bachelor in Paradise gossip that we should know about? Because we've talked about the cast announcements, but are you hearing anything about potential couples or drama?
Oh my God, I'm so excited about Paradise. It comes back in a few weeks.
I know,
I
we're
think
ready.
It'll be so good. And I'm also excited for the Love Island spinoff too. So we have a good summer of TV. I think that the main couples we see in the teaser, we're going to see a romance between Dale and Kat. We're going to see a romance between Spencer Conley and Jess Edwards, as well as Jeremy and Bailey. I think those are the three couples that we really got teased a lot in the teaser. So I think that's a big hint. I also think there'll be some stuff to be explored with Justin and Susie, who might be a late arrival. So I think that will get fans pretty hyped.
I am praying that Susie shows up. I think we deserve this as Bachelor Nation.
We need some mess. It's not Paradise if it's not just messy and, sandy and just general pain on the beach. We're so excited that it's going to be back soon. It feels like, it's been 2 years.
I know. We had Jeremy on the pod earlier this year, end of last year, earlier this year. I don't even know when it happened, but I was very excited to see, our bud out there on the sand. And I think we'll see our friend Jill Chin entering later. So I'm ready. I'm ready for the inside scoop.
We're
so
close.
Should we talk about these Bachelor weddings that just popped up out of nowhere?
Yes, and good things come in threes because Hannah Brown is getting married soon as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Well,
I guess
that's the
that's
wedding.
not secret.
No. And to be fair, Michelle and Jack's wedding was not secret, but it wasn't quite as heavily teased as some other Bachelor weddings of recent memory, including Hannah's, which it's been a pretty constant reminder, we're getting married soon. Here's every step of that journey. But this was a true, I think, hard launch. Zach Shallcross and Katie Bigger got married May 23rd in Texas, and then just posted wedding pictures.
I'm obsessed with this. Also, Katie's caption just said, "Who said Bachelor couples never work out?" and just a wedding photo. That is iconic. It also feels very fitting to me for them to just drop this because they are sort of our most normie couple, and I mean that in the best way, where they're just like, oh, you weren't thinking about us? We got married. We did it. We did it. We look hot, obviously. We're both gorgeous.
Yeah, I love
Here's our
this.
wedding.
I love this for them. I think it's sweet and normal and like I feel like they're gonna have a party maybe later this year with like all their friends. And we'll see like those pictures and stuff. But I really feel like it was genuine and authentic to them as a couple. So I loved it. I wouldn't do this for my wedding. I would want like a bigger party. But I really love that this is what they wanted, and you can tell that they're gonna last forever.
Yeah, they had, I think, a really small ceremony. They went on Bachelor happy hour, and Caitlin said it was a cute little chapel celebration with our closest loved ones. Zach said it was very private, and it sounds like just their immediate families were there.
I feel
So
like if
kind
you
of the
want to
modern
keep this
sense of an
private,
elopement.
yeah, exactly. I feel like if you want to keep this private as public figures, you sort of have to just do something very, very small. And yeah, Zachary, as you said, there's like a strong chance that maybe they'll have a wider party later on, which love that.
Katie was talking about the like the stress of planning the wedding. And I think for a lot of, especially if you're in Bachelor Nation, it's so or an influencer, like your wedding content is like the biggest work project you'll ever do. And almost to take that off the table and say, we'll just throw a big party that's a little bit less scrutinized might be a more low key way to handle, even if it's basically the same event.
Yeah, you
But
gotta respect it. I mean,
mm,
it's your wedding, you do what you want, and she did it her way, and it was super genuine. So I love them for it.
Yeah,
yeah,
I know. I
I'm
love
wondering
it.
if this is going to be like
The new thing.
happening more and more because we've seen so many Bachelor couples in the past that have kind of used that wedding lead up for lots of posting, lots of spawn con, lots of like, here's doing my various like my wedding vendors, here's who sponsored my third engagement party or my bridal shower, like lots of tagging with other influencers who are their friends, or maybe they have a fully televised wedding special. Like we've seen so much content around a lot of Bachelor weddings. And in the past, like if you get a wedding special, it was normally kind of like a good thing, like Ryan Trista, Jason and Molly, Sean and Catherine. Like that's always been
Hmm.
like kind of a harbinger of a solid marriage. But I'm wondering like if people are starting to get a bit burnt out on that, especially after the golden divorce. It's like, are we
We've been
tempting
burned.
fate? We've been
I
burned.
want another TV wedding. I think that's as long as it's like genuine, I would
Mm,
love to see a TV wedding, and I think it would do really well. But just wasn't Katie and Zach's style. They did do a video with BachelorNation.com, and it was like a 9 to 11 minute video summarizing like their wedding day, and it was really beautiful to see their vows. So I think it's cute that they wanted to share, with the fans who were invested, and they also
Yeah.
kept it to themselves.
Yeah, I think it was a
yeah.
nice balance to strike. And I do think if we're talking about like authenticity, I feel like that is this like keeping that private and hard launching that content feels like an interesting way to project that authenticity. And I don't mean that in like a calculated way, but like if you're not doing the full rollout and then you keep it to yourself and then you can truly just choose like what you actually want to share with people that are in that like wider community. So I could see
Yeah.
more people choosing to do this.
And I feel like, I mean, the golden divorce, they were a couple, or the golden wedding and the golden divorce, they're a couple from a different generation. We haven't really seen a televised Bachelor wedding in over a
A
decade
while.
aside from that. And now, like, I think that the younger generation just sees that they can have the same effect with a lot more control by getting sponsorships, by making partnerships, selling their photos to people or Us
Hire a
Weekly.
content creator for your wedding. You don't need ABC.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And then they're growing it on their own platform. So the incentives are definitely different. But to not even make so much of the content, to just release like the video or the photos afterwards is maybe a little more fresh, and feels less like just what everyone else is doing. But we're very happy for them. And yeah, best wishes to the new couple. And also Michelle.
I
Michelle
know,
Young
two leads.
got
Two
married.
leads weddings back to back.
Yeah, they got married. She married her partner, Jack Laius, June 7th in Minnesota. They are both from Minnesota. He's the son of like a Minnesota Twins player. So they're both like sort of like
Minnesota royalty.
truly Minnesota royalty. And they had been in the same like circles for years and finally met and immediately like fell madly in love. And a year and a half later, they are married.
I'm so happy for Michelle. I feel like this relationship has always seemed so genuine and authentic
I
in their
know.
content. And she definitely had like a bad breakup on The Bachelorette. So it seems like she
Yeah.
found a guy from her hometown that has a lot in common with her. And she just seems so happy. You can see it on her face. And she's so beautiful. And her dress was gorgeous. So I'm really happy for
Stunning.
them. And I can't wait to see them build their family.
Yeah, she really deserves the happiness that she clearly has now, and it's really been a joy to watch. And it
They're
seems like it
both
was a
so
beautiful
good-looking.
wedding. I mean,
It's
come
actually
on.
painful to look at their photos. I'm like, it's too much beauty.
Yeah, this wedding was kind of more teased than Zach and Katie's. Like Michelle was posting some, like a photo of her in a white bikini with Mrs. Laius embroidered on the back and the caption "Soon enough," and she posted their wedding date, I think on June 2nd, in the caption of a photo. So it was kind of known
Oh, I
when they
missed
were getting
this.
married. Yeah, it wasn't like full saturation the way that, as we've said, some other Bachelor Nation couples have done it. But there were there were some clues out there. But I was kind of struck by that because their proposal even was really built around content making. It was like he set up this faux advertisement shoot and then surprised her there so that everything was filmed. And then they had sold, they had the photos in magazines. They had so much content on their Instagram. And then they kind of had a more low key approach to the actual wedding, which, I thought was really lovely. Yeah. Any other thoughts on our Bachelor couples?
No, I just think they're all beautiful and I wish them the best. And I have high hopes for both of these couples and their future. Oh, my favorite detail from their wedding, which they gave like an exclusive to people. Apparently they played rock, paper, scissors at the altar to determine who was going to say their vows first. I thought that was very funny.
That's cute, actually. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm producing now. Love is Blind should have them play rock, paper, scissors at the altar to determine who reads their vows first.
That's a good
Or flip a
take.
coin,
Oh,
right?
production
So
would never.
much
They
is-
love to
they
control
don't-
that.
I know they don't want to take their like hands off the controls, but I think that
I
would
love
introduce
that.
some like fresh sort of randomness to, because the order that they give their vows in is so important to the outcome.
Oh, I'm here for it.
Yes, you're right. That is such a good take. Maybe they should do that next season.
I think we'd have to thank Michelle and Jack if that ever came to fruition.
And I like that this happened 2 days in a row as well. Like
I know.
because maybe they got married the same day, but the way that the articles came out was like 2 days in a row, which I actually think gives them their own day and then still maximizes publicity because it's not like they're like super popular couples, but like having them back to back almost just
It
like
actually
gives them
helped.
more. Yeah.
It creates like a think piece vibe. Like we've got a trend going. Like let's
Yeah,
talk
and
about it.
and I think they got married about 2 weeks apart, but the news dropped.
Because Zach
Right on
and
top of
Katie
each other.
actually kept theirs under wraps for a couple weeks. And it wasn't known when it was going to be. So they were able to really just present it when they
But
were
yeah,
ready.
the timing
and
was
then-
perfect because I was like, oh my God, everyone's getting married. They're all doing it. So yeah, it really worked and excited for both of those happy couples. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we will get into Lydia and Milton's big Love is Blind divorce.
And we're back. So we have to talk about this Love is Blind divorce, the
Oy.
divorce that is finally kind of closing the loop on Love is Blind season 5 Houston. It officially leaves
A
no
rough
ripple in the coupledom.
It was the worst season of
Houston.
all seasons.
The worst season of all
worst
seasons, like
season.
the roughest.
Can you believe that was just 2 years ago? It feels like it was either 6 months or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it just happened. And also, I don't remember anything that happened at the same time.
I do remember them and remembering the height difference, their wedding day. Um, that podcast was crazy. So like she went on AD's podcast and shared her side of the story and what led to her being the one to file for divorce from Milton. And I mean, I
It
didn't
was
really think much
so
about it,
dark.
but I'm glad that she was honest and that she finally knows her worth.
Yeah. The things that she had to share were pretty disturbing. I mean, she also posted a caption on Instagram that was a little more flowery and
I
maybe
mean,
downplayed the dark parts a little bit more. It was very poetic. It's long, but a few moments that stand out. Our beginning was truly magical. It was a love story that you read in books, and it felt like a fantasy, a fairy tale. As tears roll down my cheeks, the part that hurts the most is the part that saw the potential of what could be. But your last words to me spin around at night, taking over my sleep and spirit. And, she also adds, when you read these words, you're probably going to be angry at me. You always were when I, quote, overshared, but this is part of my healing and gathering back the pieces you broke. But she also says, like, thank you for choosing me as I was. It is because of that man I saw at the altar that I know what I deserve now. And she ends with, for me, love will always be blind.
I mean, I think what's the most clear is that Lydia took this as seriously as one could. And it feels as if Milton essentially took it as unseriously as he could.
I think Milton's just immature. I think he has a lot of growing up to do. I think he was thrown into a marriage that he wasn't ready for because of the show and the format and, being in love so young. So I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think he has a lot of accountability to take and a lot of growing to take. And I really admired Lydia's transparency. I feel like she was so honest, so vulnerable, and I believed her. And I think she's better for it. I think she'll learn from this.
100%.
And it's so similar to actually the Matt James and Rachel Kirkconnell situation because it's like we never heard from Matt James. We didn't need to. Rachel said everything perfectly. And I feel like the same thing with this situation with Lydia and Milton. Like, I don't need to hear from Milton until he's ready to like actually take accountability. Until then, there's nothing to say. She said it all. And I feel like she was just honest. She wasn't trashing him, and neither was Rachel on Call Her Daddy. So I think that sometimes things happen and people need to be called out so that they can take accountability and grow.
Yeah, I don't want to hear from Milton until he's ready to actually grapple with the things that Lydia said. If he is, then, Milton, go on a podcast.
Yeah. I am like, I feel like part of what we see in both of those situations, but especially maybe with Milton, is like, it kind of feels like from her account, like he wouldn't care to share his story because he just doesn't care. That's kind of how sometimes these men come across in these breakup narratives. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it's kind of like, well, that's over. Bye. I won't be thinking of it anymore. That is kind of the impression that ends up coming across. And based on her account of the marriage and, what you can maybe infer from his age and the context, like it does seem like maybe he was not that invested. So,
I mean, I think in part what happened is that the show was very desperate for one couple to get married. And they saw that they could facilitate that with Lydia and Milton. And so that's just like a rough way to start.
yeah.
And the things that Lydia said on the podcast, it sounds like there were just really, really big breaches of trust. She says that Milton was allegedly cheating or like attempting to cheat basically quite consistently throughout their entire marriage. She talks about getting multiple messages from women at various points. She talks about the fact that Milton had told her that like a conference or something like through the university did not allow spouses to attend. And he went to this event 2 years in a row. And this past year, she didn't even ask to go with him because she assumed, oh, I'm not allowed to be there. When he is at this event, she got, I believe, like an email from a woman who he had approached, who he was inviting back to his hotel room, who he was calling at 4 a.m. And this woman went to Lydia once she figured out who Milton was, because he was like not wearing a ring when this woman met him, apparently, and sent Lydia all of kind of the receipts of these interactions. And I think that is the moment where she says she decided that the relationship was over. But this doesn't sound like it was, from her account, the first incident by any means.
Yeah, it also seems like he was never going to break up with her. He was just like, please dump me. Like, I don't want to be the bad guy. Like, he couldn't have the balls to end it. So it was just like she was missing signs and just dodging signs and living in denial for so long. So I'm just glad that she finally has clarity and she finally is choosing herself. And it's really clear that she's processed this on her own time before even sharing it publicly, and that's why it came across so authentic and genuine. So it's really only up from here. I think they both need to go on a healing process, and I feel like they're both better for it.
I hope he'll be better for it. I mean, it does seem like she's really processing everything, and I mean, there are a lot of details that it sounds like there need to be processed. Like, you know, he had an ex who was in his life that she wouldn't cut off, and she found texts of him with a friend saying that she had been all around this dick lately and he wanted to fuck her. Like,
Ew.
just kind of this sense that he was liking other women's photos in swimsuits, but he tried to control Lydia's clothing and did not want her to wear swimsuits and said it was disrespectful. So
That
there are all
part
these
really upset me.
and that's what really started to get to me, that made me have deeper questions about Milton. Are these little details that suggest that some of what was going on was not just that he's immature, but maybe that he is sort of misogynistic, or that he has like absorbed some very misogynistic messaging that is very widespread in the culture around young men right now, about what women's roles are, what men's roles are, you know, what women's sexuality is for. It's for the consumption of men. And then, you know, your woman's sexuality is also only for your consumption. It should be controlled and hidden.
Yeah, I think between the comments she made about the fact that Milton was trying to control the swimsuits she was wearing and her clothing, and also comments that he would make about her, like, being in her masculine energy.
Oh, yeah. He said she was always in her masculine and it's feminine to be submissive. When people talk about being in your masculine or being in your feminine,
red flag
makes all the hackles on the back of my neck rise.
To present it like she is failing in some capacity because she is not being submissive enough to him. And meanwhile, he is allegedly continuously violating the trust within that relationship.
Well, that's just being in your masculine. It's being in your masculine to go to a conference by yourself and try to hook up with the woman at the bar.
But obviously those things, especially in combination, can lead to just like a really, really toxic and potentially emotionally abusive dynamic in a relationship.
Yeah, he seems really controlling. I guess it's good that he knows what he wants in a future partner. I think that he's made that clear.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is that he picked someone who I don't think ever came across as submissive. And that was always, I mean, I don't remember their season clearly because, again, it was not memorable and we all just sort of blacked it out, I think, collectively.
It was depressing.
But one thing that I do remember is that Lydia was seen as sort of like too outspoken, too demonstrative, and that there was this sense from some of the other men that like Milton should kind of rein her in. And one of the things that was the most likable about Milton was that while he sometimes was like, you need to calm down a little bit, he seemed to affirmatively choose her and love her for who she was. And it seems in this framing like maybe it's that thing where a man chooses a woman who seems untamable, partly for the satisfaction of taming her and turning her into like a submissive woman by playing video games all the time.
Yeah,
I think he got bored with the task is what he's like, I'm going to play video games
now.
Yeah.
I mean, these two just very clearly needed to be apart. I was also very disturbed by the fact that she talks about the fact that she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is a chronic condition, and that his reaction to that was to just like be completely unsupportive and shame her when she wanted to take leave from work for medical reasons. Like,
Yeah. She wanted to take a leave of absence from her day job. As she points out, she said, I am an influencer also. So I would still have income coming in, but I just wanted to take a leave from my day job to focus on recovering and figuring out how to manage my condition going forward, which was a real struggle. And what was his response? He said, "Fuck no.
cute.
You're
Well, I
not
think
her
that's
boss."
his thing. He really just cared about the money and like whatever money
Interesting.
that she was making at her job that he didn't want to go away. So I think he'll just be so much happier now, and she is finally choosing herself.
Yeah, I think she will definitely be happier, and I hope that there is some relief for her in the reaction, because one thing that she says on the podcast to AD is that she didn't want to be open about their issues, and she was nervous to be open about their issues and about the divorce because she said, quote, "People idolize him." Let us put your mind at ease. We do not idolize
no one idolizes him. Or certainly we don't. Certainly we don't and never did.
Surprised too when she said that.
I was like,
oh.
You're like, do we? Do we? Is that how we feel about Milton?
I remember
idea.
I remember having sort of like a sort of older
Softness
sisterly
towards
softness,
him.
right? He reminded me a little bit of my younger brother, who is, I would say, would never say any of the horrible things that Milton has said. But I was like, he's very tall and kind of comes across as kind of like gentle and, a little bit reserved. Like, it reminded me in certain ways of someone that I love. And I was like, maybe he's a big softie like my brother.
Idolize.
Do I idolize
a bridge
him?
too far?
I don't think so. I think that part of what might happen here is like kind of the flip side of influencers feeling like everyone hates them because they have some haters in their comments, when in reality, most people either don't care at all, or, the people who hate them post, and that's only like 2 or 3 people, right? She's like, I've got people in our comments being like, you two are an inspiration. Milton has shown me that I deserve love just like you. I actually think that's a very small number of people, but she's seeing them because they were in her DMs and her comments.
Right.
Those are her fans.
Yeah.
I think they'll support her through this. And I think that the whole Love is Blind community and everyone really rallied behind her and heard her story. And we heard her out. We listened, and I believe her, and I wish the best for her.
Yeah, and I did see some of the other women who were on various seasons like popping into the comments to just like show their support. And the truth is, you're always going to have people who have something nasty to say in these situations, unfortunately. Yeah. And so I hope for Lydia's sake, she's just staying out of the comments altogether. Give your social media to someone else for a few weeks. Take some healing. And as you said, Zachary, it's good that she took the time to process on her own terms before having this conversation with AD. But I think she's going to be just far better off without a man in her ear, like shaming her for having medical issues and for wearing swimsuits.
Well, as he told her, you're not dying. You just have to eat healthy and work out. So, and she said he would leave chores piling up for her to do, even after knowing that she was struggling with her health. He was just like making work for her around the house.
I'm like, this man is just a drain. You do not need this. Like,
she's going to be better off.
But I think so much better off.
And the worst part is that they were in his parents' basement. It's like,
well, can you
get out of there. Can you
as the mother of sons, it chills me to the bone. Like, imagine you see your son she says she's very close to his family. She talked about some of the conversations that they had and the ways that they had supported her through her illness. Like, imagine your beautiful son that you love marries a lovely woman. You form a relationship with her. And then you're like, oh no, I raised the deadbeat child.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. God. Men just out here being raised by lovely people and turning out to behave in shitty ways. That is
anyone
rough.
who lives in a basement, I just don't trust.
They were saving money for a house that he clearly did not want to
he-
move into with her.
And certainly would never have cleaned. So,
Yeah.
I think
Mm.
just Godspeed. Godspeed.
Well, did they have a
glad they
prenup?
are separated.
Like, how are they going to separate the assets?
Oh God.
I don't. It sounds like if it hasn't gotten messy, it will. She says at the beginning of the interview that one reason she wanted to do the interview is because he told her the minute she asked for a divorce that he wanted an NDA.
Mm. That
So
was
it seems like
crazy.
there is not an
Not-
eagerness to just have an amicable separation here. Like,
If
there's
your first
immediate
reaction
hardball.
to a divorce is I want an NDA, you know you did some shit.
Yeah, because he doesn't want her to say what the truth is. But I actually kind of think that, like, maybe he'll be petty and pissed that she exposed him on the podcast. But I also think ultimately he's getting what he wanted, which was for her to leave, because clearly he hated her. So
Yeah,
I almost think that maybe
honestly.
he will be pleasant just so he can get rid of her faster.
That is a good point. And the minute that I had that thought was when she told the story about her birthday party. She
Ah.
threw a pool party and he spent the whole time inside playing video games. Like, you don't even want to come down to your wife's birthday party. You
No,
don't
he
like
hates
her.
her.
That's
He
like a
doesn't like
blatant,
her.
please file for a divorce move. Like, I'm
Yes.
already checked out of this relationship. Would you like to make it official?
Yeah. So I'm glad she found the strength to do that and to move forward, because no one should be in a relationship where like that is the vibe. No
For
one.
sure.
Any final thoughts on Lydia and Milton?
No, I'm just glad
No.
they're
Yeah.
getting divorced.
Me too.
And
I
we
can't
can,
wait to see what's next for them, especially for her.
For her.
yeah, and we can consign
Wait,
season
put her on Perfect
5 to
Match.
the. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, could she emotionally handle it? I truly
I think
be
she could.
concerned.
I think she now knows
Maybe
the red
now.
flags.
Yeah. Maybe
And in a
like
year.
the next one. Yeah, in
Yeah.
a year. Okay.
We need to see
Okay,
her have
I'm open to
redemption,
it.
and I
This is
think
a good
it'll work
call.
out. I really think her next person will be a lot better for her, because now she knows what she wants and she knows how to find the love that she thought she had. You know, I really think that she's going to learn lessons from this and get everything she's ever wanted.
I love
think so,
your
too.
optimism, and I hope that that is the case. The thing that always like bums me out in these stories is like when she says like at the beginning he really was everything that people saw, and he really did choose me for me, and he really did support me, and when I was having a tough time with like fan reaction to the show, he sent his mother over to be with me because he was too far to come to me. Like, he was so
Mm.
everything I wanted, and then the thought of
Mhm.
going out there again and finding someone who's everything I wanted, and then they just stop,
Mhm.
that would really rattle me. But it seems like she is taking a much more constructive outlook, like you guys are, and is like, I know what I deserve, and now I'm gonna know how to go out and like find the person who's actually gonna give it to me.
And it sounds like she's taking some space to actually heal before doing that, which I think is probably the most important thing that she could
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Mhm. For sure.
And she's getting out there making some noise, so maybe they will put her on Perfect Match. I would watch. I'm just saying.
She has
I would
to.
watch. She has to. On that note, let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about some more breakup news in the reality
Yes.
TV space.
And we are back, and it's time to talk about another big split in Bachelor Nation this time. Grant Ellis and Juliana Pascarosa announced their breakup in their respective Instagram stories. Zachary, what did you think about this move from like the grid post just to the ephemeral stories?
The most confusing part is that they both have pinned photos of their engagement on their Instagram.
Still?
So
Oh
it's
my God.
still, which is
What?
giving paid promo, sponsored. It's like, what? You have to unpin because
Well,
now
yeah.
everyone thinks you're together that didn't see the stories that disappeared in 24 hours.
Okay, this is such a good point, because when I
That's
first saw
wild.
it, I was like, maybe they're doing it because they want to just like quickly archive everything about their relationship and just have like all of it gone. But then they're leaving
Oh my
the
God.
other stuff.
It's
So
still
weird.
it's still pinned, the post, the hard launch post. Jules, I love you.
It's just like, one thing I'll say is I appreciate that they wrote different captions that were they were very similar, which really shows that they are on the same page and they are moving forward amicably. And I like that they both like addressed it, and versus someone like Matt James who did not. But I feel like
Father God, please.
it's literally giving. We were not in love. We had to fake this because we're on The Bachelor. Now we finally hit the 3-month mark where we can break up. And we literally still wish each other the best. Like, I really think that they are going to be friends to some degree. Like, I really don't think it was that deep. I just feel like they were never in love.
The vibes seem like fine between them for sure. And yes, this comes like just about 3 months after their engagement aired. I guess 6 to 7 months since they actually got engaged. The thing that really sent me was the font that Grant chose for his Instagram story. It was like the new Instagram font that's like the college sweatshirt, like academic font. And it's just like, this is
like
a
very
really,
yearbook. Yeah.
really weird. Like, why are you doing like yearbook font for your like serious breakup post? Hilarious.
Yeah.
He wrote, "This is one of the harder things I've had to write, but I want to share it honestly. Juliana and I have decided to end our relationship. We both gave this our best and poured a lot of love into each other. But after a lot of deep conversations, we've come to the understanding that we're simply not the right fit long term. What we had was meaningful. The connection we built on the show was real. There's no negativity, no resentment, just two people who care about each other. Yada, yada." He says, like, this chapter is closing, but we're both walking away with love and respect in our hearts.
Yeah, rereading that and re-listening to that, it's very underwhelming. Like, it's very damning with faint praise to their relationship. It's not even one of the hardest things he's had to write. It's just one of the harder things. Like, you're publicly announcing the end of your engagement to the person that you got engaged to on national television. You're like, it's kind of hard to write this.
It's kind of hard. It was real.
Yeah.
We put in effort. We're good.
I'm
but
not
we're
even
not
mad
together.
at him. I'm not mad at him. Like, I don't think it's his fault. Like, he wasn't
I'm not
supposed
mad
to
at him.
be-
I just think it's funny. I'm not mad at him at all. And I think that he got extremely shortchanged. His season was crazy short. I will never be over how short this season was.
He wasn't supposed to be The Bachelor. Like, it's literally people who were on the show who just like are not good at their jobs anymore and are out of touch, made this normal guy who is not a TV star a lead of a very popular show, and it just wasn't fair for him. So I feel bad that he's gotten like a lot of hate and criticism because he was not supposed to be on TV. Like, he doesn't belong on TV.
Yeah, it wasn't the best choice. And I don't know if maybe some of their initial top choices didn't work out. Like, I don't know if he was prepared.
They're
And
so
they
bad.
also, I do think they just like didn't give him enough runway for a relationship to have any chance of really being built to a strong point. Like, when you look back at the early days of The Bachelor, the seasons were so short, and guess what? Like, they all broke up. Like, the only way that you can really build any sort of foundation for being together after the show is to have like a 10 or 12 episode season, and they just like whittled it down to nothing.
Yeah, I agree. It was too short. And even at the time, you could tell that he was like, who do I choose? Oh, Zoe, we haven't even gone on a date, but I'm bringing you to my final three.
Nice.
Like, it was just, he didn't have enough space and time. And when you put someone, as you said, who maybe was not sort of naturally going to be this like incredible lead, you definitely needed to give him more time to warm up to the process with the cameras, all of that stuff. And yeah, it just felt like they were set up to fail. To be honest, I saw their breakup and I felt so neutral about them. It's like I wasn't like happy they broke up. I wasn't sad. I was just like, oh.
And that's not a good thing. You're supposed to like love or hate. When you're on reality TV, you either love to hate someone or you hate to love someone. And
exactly.
The fact that you have no feeling just says everything you need to know. I really hope that whatever changes they make in The Bachelor are going to be helpful. I am optimistic about Paradise. I think it'll be fun to have a mix. And then I'm also optimistic about The Golden Bachelor because I really enjoyed the first season. I thought it was so fun with all the women. So I think that we could potentially have a really good year ahead of us. But unfortunately, this relationship did not work out.
This was not it.
Now I'm looking at Juliana's message, and it's like even more clinical in a way. She's like, it's a gift to find someone who sees the world in a way that resonates with you while also encouraging you to grow. I've been grateful to share that experience with Grant. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is something that you might write about a coworker.
She was in her
That's
own
like, it's
world.
been such a gift. It's
Right.
been
She's like,
such a
"We're
gift to
still
work on this
cheering each
project
other on."
together.
She needs like someone
Yeah.
else that is going to be like in her circle, lives in her town, in her career path. Like, you know what I mean? She needs someone that's going to fit into
Yeah.
her life so organically and seamlessly. And I don't think she's the type of person that can do a long distance relationship. I don't think she is the type of person that could be in a public relationship. I think that she just wants different things than Grant. And I think they're both better off for it. And I'm really glad that it was an amicable breakup. And I feel like we can all
Yeah.
move on pretty quickly from this one.
We can immediately, in a way.
Yeah.
A little bit
Yeah.
I've already
longer.
moved on.
I'm going to keep,
Yeah,
it's going to
but-
help me keep calibrating my sense of which, I don't like to guess which couples will make it because I'm frequently wrong. And I'm like, who knows? Like the couples that seem the most doomed to me, like maybe I'm just not understanding the true dynamic. But their vibe was always much more like, we think that the other person is hot and we feel like we're the same person. Like we
Yeah.
both like had hard times growing up. We felt lonely. And then we are like, I'm a lone wolf, but I have to find my wolf pack. And it was like, once they found that commonality, they felt like that was the sign. But sometimes you don't need a person who has like the same backstory as you, or you feel like is
Right.
the same person. And they just kind of settled on that. And
Yeah.
not
I mean, who
shocking
else was he
that-
going to pick? I feel like that was who he was most compatible with and who it was going to be the best shot with. Like his
Well,
person wasn't there.
You're right.
I'm already seeing. I would immediately you see people being like, "Oh, Latia was the one for him, and he let her go." No, Latia
No.
was not the one for him. That's the
Latia
problem.
was not the one. Latia,
He was not. Get out! If he
Mm-mm.
picked Latia, the same Instagram stories messages would be going out at around
No.
the same
Latia would
time.
No, no,
realize in
no.
a second. Like
It would have been different if it was Latia.
No,
it
that they would have been
different,
different messages.
but like Latia would have been out of there. No.
I think so, right? Because it felt like she really loved him, no? Or maybe she was just
Yes,
this love
but the
bomb.
problem-
did, but
but
the
the-
more she learned about him, she was like, "We're not
Okay.
correct."
No,
you
I
know?
think that the reason that Latia and Grant were doomed was why he didn't pick her, because he was able to see that this was going to be a problem, which is that she wanted to get married and have kids yesterday and
he
raise them
doesn't.
in like roughly in the Mormon community, and he didn't want any of that. And so if they had gotten together,
It would have been a disaster. It would have just been like failed promises,
Yeah.
right? Like
Well,
that couldn't be
yeah.
followed through on.
But the best part about all of this is now they're all single and eligible for Bachelor in Paradise next summer.
yes,
And
bring them all
I
on.
feel like at least one of the three of them is going to go.
Bring
Yeah,
them on,
I'm
and
here
also
for
bring
it.
Carolina on because she would like to be
Oh my
included in
God.
this discourse.
We have to talk about Carolina's totally unnecessary response to the breakup.
She is messy. She is like, she's doing the work. She's, she's
the
like,
thing is,
I'm
though, like,
participating.
Right. I mean, someone had to say something, right? Like, no one else. I checked all the girls' pages and, like,
Nothing.
I was like,
Silence.
because, like, usually someone says something. Like, it doesn't have to be shady, funny. Like, we're allowed to acknowledge and address something that happened on the show that we all watched. Like, I think it's great that someone said something. And I think her response was obviously shady, but it's like, and it probably maybe was too shady, but, like, she had problems with Juliana and, like, she kind of felt a way about her.
Yeah.
So, and the relationship and how she felt about Grant. I mean, even what she felt about Grant ended up kind of being true, where all the girls were like, he was love bombing, he was saying things he didn't mean. So I do feel like Carolina has some vindication, and maybe she could have
She
went
also
out-
just hates Juliana and Grant.
Yeah. I sometimes have like battles with myself over this because when I do watch the show and I feel like someone is just like being really difficult or rude or bringing the vibe down, I'm like, why do they expect people to like them? Like, of course, like no one's gonna like enjoy this energy that you're bringing. And I get kind of irritated. I'm like, why are you making these comments that no one asked for? And then I'm like, wait a second. If no one does this, we don't enjoy watching the show. Like, you need
Correct.
to get into the mix for us to have stuff to watch.
Someone
and I think
has
that's
to
part of
address
what's happened to
it.
the Bachelor franchise is that people are afraid to be the villain because they see that there is a huge downside to being the villain, and everyone wants to be the nice girl that everyone loves. And so
And then
there's
it's just boring.
That's boring. There isn't that much to watch except for the kind of the heartbreak, right? Like that becomes the main drama, is just the heartbreak of someone being devastated by the lead, and it just it takes the wrong balance toward the entertainment. You're spending all your time like
Yeah,
it's either boring or it's just sad.
we
And
need
I'm like, yes,
comedy.
get in there and be kind of rude, be petty.
Okay, you guys are making good points. We you know what? We need more Carolinas. Zachary, we've been revisiting Caitlin Bristow's season of The Bachelorette in advance of the live show that we're doing in like 10 days for our 10, because it's the first season we ever covered on our podcast. And we're both just being so struck by how funny and chaotic it is. And we're like, they don't make them like this anymore. So maybe Carolina is just like doing her part to bring us back to our roots.
She should go to Paradise too. That'll be crazy. All four of them I need in Paradise next year. But yeah, the show is not as good as it used to be. So hopefully, like I said, we have a couple good seasons this year. If not, we're all just going to watch Love Island.
I know. I feel like I do have high hopes for this new showrunner on Paradise. Like even the vibes of like the trailers and teasers have been really, really fun.
I loved everyone's pictures for Paradise. I thought everyone's headshots were good. I kind of liked that everyone had like a tagline.
Yeah, it's great.
I feel like I've heard so much tea about the young people, so I'm curious what the old uns are going to get into.
Wait, like what?
Like, you want spoilers?
No.
Just like some teasers.
Someone will deny someone a rose. Somebody will leave, like break up and leave. So like that's always fun when it's like
I love that.
Not at a rose ceremony. And I definitely think we'll see like at least 2 engagements, regardless of like if they're real or not. We'll have to see like on screen. If maybe they'll break up again. Like hopefully I don't really have I have to see it before I can like tell, but hopefully this isn't a season like the last season where everyone just breaks up and becomes friends after. Like hopefully there is a couple like genuine true love stories.
Yes, I want that.
But I'm not sold on any of the couples that I've heard yet. I'm just like, I need to see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever I hear the rumored couples on the like Paradise, or I'm always just like, what? Like that's crazy. And then I watch it and I'm like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. So we'll see it play out.
We have to reserve our judgment until we watch. But that sounds really juicy and I'm very excited. I've also heard that the Goldens were like the wild ones actually during
like
filming. Yeah, like they're like they were like the ones staying up late going crazy. So I think we're gonna have some really, really good stuff to dig into on this season. We gotta talk about the fact that Jen Tran and Sasha Farber, who never officially launched their relationship, have now ended their relationship. This was so funny to me that there's like an official report that they have broken up, but there was like never a hard launch.
But like there kind of was a hard launch because they really did end up posting enough content where it was like obvious that they were dating and there was enough pictures of them holding hands. So I think someone explained it as like a friendly situationship, and I really think that's what it was. I think they probably were like mostly exclusive for the time that they were together, maybe like texting people, but like not having enough time to text anyone else. And I think they really were compatible for the time that they were together, and I think the relationship ran its course, but I still think they're on good terms, and I don't think they were each other's person. And I think they knew that, but they were having so much fun and they had such a great connection. It was so fun to follow them.
Yeah, that all tracks. And like, yeah, they didn't have like, I think we come to expect a sort of like this is the hard launch post that they never really had, but there were so many posts where you were like, okay, so they're together. And they haven't posted about the breakup either. So in that sense, it tracks, right? Like it just was reported in People, which the magazines were also always being like, they're dating. So, we'll take the magazine's word for it since they haven't denied it. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it was ever that serious.
No,
and
but I really
love that
hope,
for them. They both needed, it seems like they
a-
both needed like a healing relationship that was like no pressure, fun, and like you weren't having to like build a big narrative around like, here's why we're destined to be. They're both just kind of like enjoying themselves.
That's so true, because he did have like a divorce from Emma. And like, that's kind of like interesting because now Emma is dating Alan, and we'll probably hear more about their relationship on the next season of Dancing with the Stars, like the more interesting dynamics about how Emma and Alan got together. And Jen obviously had a really rough breakup with Devin. So I really feel like they were able to lean on each other and just like show a positive side of them in a relationship. So I think they're both, they learn the best for it.
Yeah, and Jen, wanted to finish PA school. She moved back to Miami. It makes complete sense. They have like a fairly big age gap. I don't think most people were like, these two are gonna get married. It seemed like they both needed to have fun, to feel respected and cared for. And it does seem like there was that mutual respect in the relationship as far as we have heard and seen. And I'm just like really happy that Jen got to get her mojo back after Devin. Because that man,
I feel like it was very like, it's very kind of beautiful and helpful to see a healing, like positive relationship that is not sort of approached as like an endgame relationship, like to show that there can be like good and positive and healing found in a relationship that is never meant to last forever.
Yes.
Because I think so often if a relationship ends, it's immediately like, oh, this is bad, it's sad, it's a failure. But there's so many times that like a shorter relationship can give you so much, and that's still good.
This was a win for both of them. Like regardless of how it ended, it doesn't matter. Like it wasn't meant to. Even when it started, it had an end date. So it was just like always. It's just a positive experience. It was a positive friendship. And speaking of Devin, he ended up getting a girlfriend, but it would have been crazy to see him on Paradise. And
no, I don't want to see him ever again. I don't want to think about him.
No,
but Sam M, his arch nemesis, went to Paradise, and
I also don't want to see him.
I didn't like him either on that season, but I'm gonna give him another shot on this one.
We'll see. I'm curious whether he's gonna like end up leaning into villainy or whether he's gonna try to do like a redemption thing.
Well, and that's, this speaks to some of what I was saying before. It's like, it's hard for me sometimes to know where the line is between like villainy is an important part of the world building of a show and it makes it more fun. And also it shows us things that we need to discuss about real world dynamics. And also I don't want to see men who seem like genuinely super misogynistic or maybe abusive in some way. I don't want to see them given a platform. So sometimes we're trying to like find that line.
That's
and
true.
maybe Sam M is on the right side of that line. Maybe I need to see some women yelling at Sam M. That will heal me.
I think that would heal me. So Zachary, before we let you go, we do want to touch on the new Traitors cast, which was just announced. What are your high level thoughts?
Oh my God, I'm so excited about the Traitors cast. There is like a few people that I'm like, I don't really know. And a lot of people are like, this is the best cast ever. I'm like, it's good, but season 3 and 2 were really good.
I think season 3, for my personal interest, season 3 cast tops season 4. Like just from the names for me.
Yeah, I will say Donna Kelsey is a huge get, and that will be super, super exciting. And I'm also a huge Survivor fan, so I think Rob Cesternino is such a throwback, and he's made such a name for himself in podcasting.
Wait, give us the lore, because like we know nothing about Survivor.
Oh my God. So Rob Cesternino was on season 6 of The Amazon, and he was just one of the OG original strategists of the show, and he was just so witty and funny and nerdy, and he was like the first one of like his kind. So he really set the tone for all these other strategist nerds to come on the show and like be a fan and like hang with the cool kids, that were playing the game. He did go to Survivor All-Stars, but he got eliminated early, I think because he kind of went up against Boston Rob, right? So Boston Rob voted him off, who you remember from last season of Traitors.
Of course.
So they had a little bit of an OG rivalry. But I think now that there's no real competition for Cesternino as far as like the game players, I actually think he'll be underestimated. I think he'll be able to feed into the housewives' egos. And I think he's built such a name for himself in the podcasting world that he has so many fans that will rally behind him. So I'm excited to see him as well as Natalie Anderson from Survivor. And I'm also really excited to see Lisa Rinna. Oh my God, she's such good TV. I'm obsessed with her.
I am so happy that Dorinda's coming back. Because I feel like
gone too
you're
soon.
You're not a Dorinda fan?
I don't like the whole, you don't know who I am?
Oh no, I didn't like that either, but I do think Dorinda is so chaotic. Like she needed a longer run. Like one episode was not enough.
Well, then put her on somewhere else.
I know.
I mean,
Okay.
fine.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Lisa Rinna is great television.
Yeah.
I personally think also that Rob Roush and Maura Higgins are really inspired Love Island casting choices. And I like that they're like totally different eras and UK and US. I feel like that's really good. And I'm super curious to see how Rob does actually. Because I could either see him being really good or really bad at the game.
We need a crush though. Like we need a Dylan Efron, a Pilot Pete. So maybe Stephen Colletti will be the crush, but maybe
That's what I'm wondering.
Maybe Rob will be the crush again. I don't know. But what do you guys think about Colton? Because like, I don't know if he's the best option to represent Bachelor Nation on the Traitors.
Our feeling
same.
too. I think my overwhelming feeling was just like a sigh of exhaustion because I'm like, there is, I wish.
How many shows does he need to be on?
The best, but like, does he really need to be back on our televisions? Obviously, he has this like very upsetting history with his, interactions with his ex Cassie from the show. And like, understandably, a lot of people just are not interested in supporting him on a TV show. And like, I personally don't want to spend all of the Traitors being like, let's dig into the past shitty things that Colton has done. You know what I mean? Like, I wish we got a better representative.
That'd be wild. Moved on. Right. But that'd be wild if someone brought it up or called him out and maybe he actually, I don't know if he wanted to address it. But I think with Colton, it's like, we need him to be funny. We need him to play the game. We need him to get involved. We need him to have personality. So I think that he needs to know that going into it. Like the last Bachelor people were Gabby.
I don't know.
Peter gave us so much, and I feel like there's so many options in Bachelor. Like I want to see Caitlin Bristow so bad on Traitors.
Yes, that's what we said. Caitlin Bristow, Rachel Lindsay. Like, are you kidding?
When you described that list
options
of qualities that he needed to bring, I was like, I'm not associating any of those with Colton.
No, he's actually like quite earnest and serious. Like he's not really comedic.
Right. And the Traitors is comedy, but the Traitors is for the gays, and he is the gay Bachelor, and which Gabby was as well. So maybe he'll surprise us. But ultimately, I think there is a lot of good options on the cast. There's always one too many housewives, and I love the housewives, but you only need so many. But I'm really excited about the cast, and I'm really excited to see what it will bring. I do have to go right now, though.
Yeah. No. Zach, thank you so much for joining us. This is so much fun. And everyone follow at Zachary Reality on all platforms because he always has the best tea. And we are so grateful that you could join us.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Bye, everybody.
Love
you guys.
So yes, thanks again to Zachary Reality for joining us. And on that note, that is it for this episode of Love to See It with Emma and Claire.
Love to See It is a presentation of Odyssey. The show is produced by us, Claire Fallon and Emma Gray. This episode was edited by Jonathan Behar. Our theme music is by Tamar Habib, and our art is by Aaron Nestor.
If you like our show, remember to follow us, rate us 5 stars, leave a review. Truly, this makes such a difference. If you haven't done it on one of the platforms you listen to the pod on, please just take 2 minutes, give it a little rating and review. And of course, spread the word to all of your friends about Love to See It.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at claireandemmapod@gmail.com.
You can find us on TikTok at Love to See It Pod and on Instagram at Claire and Emma Pod. And you can find our newsletter Rich Text on Substack at claireandemma.substack.com. I'm also on Blue Sky at Emma Gray and on Instagram at Emma Lady Rose.
And I'm at Claire E. Fallon. Special thanks to the team at Odyssey: Eric Donnelly, Aaron Constantino, Kate Rose, Moira Curran, Melissa Wester, Carly Snyder, and Hillary Ship.
We'll be back later this week with a Love Island USA recap.